Ladies and gentlemen, if you would, please rise for the uncasting of the national colors.
Present, order. Order, arms. Forward, march. Left. March on, forward. Two, march.
All uniformed personnel render appropriate honors. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for our national anthem. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you from the class of 1964, Mr. Bill McCaskill. Bill?
Next call coming out this evening to honor and memorialize the men and women whose names grace this wall. It's a real privilege for me to be able to represent Gonzales High School graduation class 1964 and to pay tribute to the ones who made the ultimate sacrifice during the Vietnam War. I'd like to recognize particular members of our class who worked long hours expecting no recognition for their effort in making scholarship and gathering of classmates possible. I would recite the entire class roll if time would allow, but that is not possible. So a special thanks and pat on the back to Jimmy Ryan, Tom Shurey, Martha, Margaret, and Bob Chesky. A big thank you also goes out to our classmate Harry Happy Schuberly, who proclaimed at our last reunion that it was long past time to honor a member of our class who had made the supreme sacrifice for our country during the Vietnam War. One who made the ultimate sacrifice, and whose name is on that wall, is our friend and classmate, Thomas Dudley Chenault. You might be asking just who was Thomas Dudley Chenault? Well, we just call him Tommy. Tommy was just another kid just like us, growing up in the 50s and early 60s in Gonzales. In retrospect, I wish that others could have grown up as we did during that time. Great teachers, coaches, families, great friends to grow up with in school. The thing I remember most about Tommy was that he always seemed to have a smile on his face. We rode bikes, joined Cub Scouts, and on the Boy Scouts at Camp Tom Wooten. And when we weren't scouting, we were playing Little League baseball or football in someone's side yard. What a great life growing up in Gonzales, Texas. One of my favorite memories of Tommy was Little League baseball. Tommy played catcher on the Western Hatchery team, and Bill Storey was one of the pitchers for the team. He was the ace in that squad. The scene I remember most was Storey throwing a fastball to Tommy's former Gonzales County attorney Bobby Moose Chesky would go down swinging one more time. That happened more than once during the season. Again, what a great life we had growing up in Gonzales, Texas. We had no idea that one of the most turbulent times in our nation's history would soon unfold, and many of us would play a part. Some of us were drafted, some of us joined, and some of us volunteered to go and help a people in need, people of South Vietnam. Tommy was one of those boys from Gonzales who had the courage to stand up and volunteer. That was the type of man Tommy Chenault was. There are over 58,000 names on that wall, and families all over the great nation, this great nation, continue to feel the loss of a loved one or a family member or a friend. Our country honors the names of other boys from Gonzales who gave their all during that war in South Vietnam. The families of Corporal Jimmy Touche, Lance Corporal Carl Eugene Bolden, Lance Corporal Louis Shot T. Jr., Sergeant Robert Ray Asher, Spec 4 David Ray Tomash, and Lance Corporal Billy Ray Baker. They now belong to a brotherhood of those who served and gave their all. We honor their memory and of those on this wall and keep their memory alive with this tribute. Thomas Dudley Chenault was born on May 16, 1946 in Gonzales, Texas, to Charles Pope and Carrie Fleda Hoskins Chenault, and died on April 24, 1971 in the Ashall Valley, Tuy Thanh Province, South Vietnam. He was married to his college sweetheart, Anne Josephine Chandoa, on June 21, 1969, and is survived by his brother Charles of Austin, Texas. His tour of duty began on July 22, 1970, and ended 275 days later, just after returning from R&R in Hawaii with his wife Anne. Tommy was the first lieutenant with the Aero Rifle Platoon Dietrich 17th Cav, 101st Airborne Division, and he was posthumously promoted to captain. There are many troops from the famed 101st Airborne Division here today to honor Tommy as we pay this tribute to him and the others who are memorialized on this wall. Tommy had only 90 days left on his combat tour before going home. His name is on panel 307. During high school, Tommy was on the student council, all district football, and we voted him best all around in our class. His nickname was the Golden Toe, because he never seemed to miss an extra point or a field goal. After high school, Tommy went on to Wharton Junior College where he made the football team. After that, he went on to Trinity University in San Antonio where he starred for the Trinity Tigers along with his friend and classmate from Gonzales, Stan Deacon. Tommy still owns some scoring records at Trinity, to this day and was voted most valuable player of the team his senior year. There doesn't seem to be anything that Tommy could not excel at, including winning the Golden Gloves boxing championship in San Antonio that year. Bill Storey, Tommy's neighborhood friend, probably knew him as well or better than anyone else in our class. I would like to say a few words about Tommy at this time.
Before I say something, words about Tommy, I want to let you know that Bill McCaskill here served as a combat infantryman, point man, and a scout platoon while in Vietnam. Bill was awarded the Bronze Star with D device. The Bronze Star with D device, to note heroism, is the fourth highest military decoration for valor. It's an honor to be here today to say a few words about our friend Tommy Chenault. Tommy and his older brother Charles and I grew up in the same neighborhood. Our houses were only a block away from each other. I really don't remember not knowing Tommy. We shared the same double desk in first grade, played on the same Little League team, played high school baseball together, and we both went to Orton Junior College. I had a car, Tommy did not, so we traveled together back and forth to Orton. I was there to play baseball, and Tommy played football. I was at Tommy's house one day, and I told him I needed to go to work to talk to the baseball coach and about a scholarship. The baseball coach's name was Tom Pickett, and again, he was also a football coach. Tommy asked if he could ride along with me because he wanted to talk to the coach about trying out for the football team there at Orton. He had had no other offers from any other colleges, so I said, sure. We met Coach Pickett in the gymnasium, and after we talked, while we were talking to Coach Pickett, he advised Tommy. He said, look, all the scholarships have been given out. Tommy said, well, that's okay. I just want to try out for the team. A week before it was time for Tommy to go down to Orton to start practice and try out for the team, he showed me a letter he got from Coach Pickett. And in that letter, Coach Pickett said that he expected 110% effort from all his players. This made a real impression on Tommy, because if you knew Tommy Chenault, he always gave 110%, whatever he did. Well, Tommy made the team. He was a starting linebacker. He kicked extra points, and he kicked field goals. Tommy intercepted 5 passes, made the college all-conference team of the Texas Junior College Football Federation, and made honorable mention All-America on the 1964 Fritz squad. Tommy was one of the few underclassmen chosen for this honor. Tommy was a good friend. You could always count on him, and he is greatly missed. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. But on this day when we celebrate Easter, beginning with Good Friday, it would be remiss not to mention Tommy's greatest attribute. For you see, Tommy was a devout Christian, but some say he never missed a Sunday school class at First Baptist here in Gonzales. He lived his life accordingly, and when a Ranger radio relay team came under fire in Oshaw Valley, and he was surrounded by the enemy, Tommy, with only a few weeks left before he was to come out of the field, volunteered to lead a rescue mission. According to his friend who was with him, Tommy was the first off the chopper and down the trail in the direction of where the Ranger team was surrounded. Tommy lost his life on that trail along with 4 of his men and with 14 others wounded in action. It is in John 15, verse 13 that it says, greater love hath no man than this, that one lay down his life for his friends. Those men, indeed some of them just boys, were in trouble, and Tommy Chenault, with the 101st cavalry on the way came to save the day. That was the kind of man Tommy Chenault had grown to be. The 101st lights a candle and lifts his name up at every reunion, and a memorial to him as well as the other brothers lost in that war. And as long as this scholarship is given in Tommy's name and the class of 1964 meets for reunion, then Tommy's memory will live on and never fade. To conclude, I would like to say a big thank you to the city of Gonzales. When we came home, there were no parades, no fanfare, just the expectation that we should go back to our lives as they were before. Well, that just was not possible. The country had changed and we had changed also. But today, this is our parade. Tommy, this one's for you. Pride that I announced the establishment of the Thomas Dudley Vietnam Era Veteran Scholarship, funded by the class of 1964. The scholarship will be administered by the Gonzales Independent School District, who will select the person to receive the award. The purpose of the scholarship is to assist military veterans to become certified teachers or to enhance their existing teaching careers. I ask that you join me in honoring the memory of Tommy Chenault and all those that served our great nation in the military. God bless our great service members currently in our military and our veterans of years past. And God bless the United States of America.
Amen.
He graduated from Gonzales High School in 1962 and has gone on to serve his country in the United States Army, where he has served with distinction from 22 November 1967 until retiring on 30 April 1989 as a Lieutenant Colonel. He went on to work and serve in the aerospace industry. He is now a rancher here in Gonzales. He was commissioned as Second Lieutenant of Infantry in 1967. Further schools and assignments include Airborne Ranger, Special Forces Recondo, Jungle Warfare, Army Rotary Wing Aviator, and Army Advanced Forces. He was also selected as one of the initial hand-picked officers of the reconstituted 75th Airborne Ranger Regiment in Vietnam as a combat patrol leader. He is a highly decorated combat veteran, having served with distinction in both ground and air combat operations. Decorations include 2 Legions of Merit, 2 Bronze Stars with V device for valor and heroism, 2 Purple Hearts for wounds in action, and a Vietnam Cross for gallantry. He proudly wears the Combat Infantryman's Badge, Parachutist Badge, and Senior Army Aviator Wings. He has served in the Pentagon on 2 separate occasions, and during that time directed military requirements in the operation, research, development, and acquisition of the Army's most technological attack helicopter, which mysteriously became known as the AAA-64 Apache. As a personal aside, we're just glad that his parents didn't bring him up in Cuero, Texas, because instead of being the flying fighting Apache, he could have been the flying gobbler. He was subsequently selected to command the Army's first AA-64 Apache Cavalry Squadron. It was at this time that he was selected to receive the U.S. Army's Aviator of the Year Award. It was with great pride that I introduced retired Lieutenant Colonel Kenneth McGinty, a great friend of the class of 1964. We're proud of him and the honor he brings to his hometown of Gonzales. Please welcome our friend, affectionately known as Kenny, to the class of 64, retired Lieutenant Colonel Kenneth McGinty.
You know, you overdid it. I'd like to say all that was true.
be here today. I'm really proud to be part of this memorial. And I'm even more proud that the class of '64 asked me to be here to join you in honoring Tommy, as well as the other 6 soldiers that died in Vietnam. I think it'd be fitting to tip our hats to the city of Gonzales for being able to find enough money to bring that wall in here. I understand it's only going to be in 3 places. When they asked me to say a few things, I kind of couldn't find the words for what I thought would be the right thing to say. And it kind of came to me and said, you know, Gonzales got a proud history. And I thought that what I'd do is go through a few things about answering the call to duty. And, you know, Gonzales' rich history began in 1825, a little bitty village. And right from the beginning, armed groups of men had to band together to protect themselves from the ferocious Indian raids that took place all around this area. And then from there, the other exploits were starting off the war between Mexico and Texas. We're all pretty familiar with that, the fight for independence and the Battle of the Alamo. And you couldn't grow up in this part of the world without knowing about the immortal 32, the only reinforcements the Alamo got. But what I imagine many of you don't understand is that there were already 9 folks from Gonzales, surrounding area, manning the walls at the Alamo. That old mission has a lot of history of Gonzales. And, you know, we were never taught that when I was in school, so I just found that out lately. I'm doing a little research. I wasn't much of a student back in those days. You know, and then, you know, right after we got our independence, we had this thing called a war between the states. And a significant amount of men from Gonzales saddled up, joined a couple of the cavalry regiments, independent regiments that were hanging around Texas. And even more of them joined famous John Bell Hood, the Texas Brigade that was one of the stalwart brigades in General Lee's army in Northern Virginia. And I imagine there's plenty of people there. There's no count of how many were lost, wounded, or missing from that war, from Gonzales especially. But I'm sure there are plenty of folks around here that have family lore of those who fought in that horrible war, gave their sacrifices for what they thought would be their part of freedom. After that came the Spanish-American War, and it was not without folks from Gonzales. 38 men from Gonzales went to that battle, and 9 of them, I can kind of visualize it, 9 rode on horseback to San Antonio to join Teddy Roosevelt and the Rough Riders. If anybody's ever been to the Menger Hotel, there's a big honor there to Teddy Roosevelt, and I imagine they went in there and had a drink and got persuaded to go in there, as Gonzales men tend to do. Not speaking to me personally. You know, there were 38 men joined that fight, and only 32 returned. Then came World War I, the war to end all wars. Gonzales had a contingent of some 1,600 men that went to that battle. All of them answered the call to duty. 65 fell. Then, since the war to end all wars didn't quite get the job done, along came World War II. 3,000 plus Gonzales men went to war. The majority of those men were with the 36th Division Texas National Guard. They were brothers, uncles, cousins, best friends, and 87 of those. And there's no count of how many were wounded, how many were missing, and many more of the Gonzales family suffered from the wounds and scars of that war for many years. Then came Korea. There were a few folks here I know have been in Korea. 116 men went to that war. And again, there's no count as to who was wounded and lost from Gonzales in that battle. You know, you get down to Vietnam, and I'm going to come back to that in just a minute. But Desert Storm, Enduring Freedom, Afghanistan has added at least 61 of our fellow patriots to the legacy of Gonzales. Heritage. Back to Vietnam. Over 2,500,000 men and women went to that fight. 136 of them were from Gonzales. 303,000 were wounded in battle in Vietnam. And you can attest to the wall that's right behind us here. Over 58,000 gave their all. Now, Gonzales has a pretty significant history, and I thought I'd recount just a few of them just to kind of remind us of the heritage here. You know, Gonzales, everybody knows Gonzales fired the first shot at Texas Revolution. I don't think there's a person here that doesn't understand that. That little 6-pound cannon was a formal start of the fight for our independence and our republic. Gonzales also hosted General Sam Houston's first headquarters once he was given command of the Texas Army, which wasn't much after the lawsuits at Goliad and the Alamo. But he came here to Gonzales, settled in, started building the army, which sooner than later defeat Santa Anna and San Jacinto. And then another one a little closer to this time frame. In 1986, Gonzales was honored to be one of the first towns to kick off the sesquicentennial. And for David Ray and a few of those like that, that's a 150-year celebration. I graduated from high school here, so I got that. And I had a little part to play in that celebration. I was commanding 1st Apache Squadron at Fort Hood, but there weren't any Apaches. We had Cobras, and we were in the midst of turning them in, and the mayor of Gonzales got wind that I was up there, and called a 3-star General Saint, and said, you know, we got this boy up there named Kenny McGinty. We'd like him to bring down an Apache for our celebration. That's pretty unusual stuff. Called a 3-corps commander, 3-star general, and say, this boy named Kenny. Nobody called me Kenny. Anyway, so except the general. And we didn't have any Apaches, but the general said if we got one off in time, he would have me bring it down. So I get a call from the general. I thought somebody was spooking me, but the squeaky voice which he had says, "This Kenny McGinty from Gonzales, Texas." I said, "This isn't General Saint, is it?" He said, "If you get an Apache in time," he said, "take it down to Gonzales." I said, "Yes, sir." Kind of like, "Daddy, can I borrow the keys to the car?" Anyway, I called Skipper Springs. He and a couple other good guard folks here. I flew down here and we did a little recon and set things up just in case I got one off the line. And about 4 days before the celebration, I got a call from McDonnell Douglas to come out and we got the first combat ready for you to test fly and fly to Fort Hood. So I went out and got it to Colleen, Texas. Had to shine it up a little bit. And I flew it in here just as the parade was kicking off and landed right in that spiel back there where those Connex containers are. They weren't there then. And I'd say pretty befitting. The first time the most advanced fighter helicopter was ever seen. It had never been seen by the general. And there's a bunch of little stories in between leaving Mesa, Arizona and Gonzales, Texas. But I pretty well used my time up. And yeah, they did. Tommy, no, I'm not going to do it. But you know, it's a bait and switch kind of a thing. You'll have to ask me back to speak sometime. It's kind of like job security, you know. But there's some pretty interesting ones and some that I'll share with you someday. But let me say, really appreciate the 101st coming down here paying honors to one of their fallen brothers and ours. I'd like to also say thanks to the band. They don't call you Fifth Army Band anymore. I was in Fifth Army, I still remember you as Fifth Army. We certainly appreciate you coming down and helping us out. And I'll get off the stage with this little thing I wrote. Maybe I won't. Anyway, that's it. I appreciate you having me. Thank you so much. It's an honor. We need to say a big, give a big applause to the VFW here in Gonzales. They have secured that site since it's been here. They gave it their own time, and I couldn't be prouder of a bunch of men.
Mr. McGinty was just speaking about the gentleman here, the color guard. They're the 101st Airborne, 217th Cavalry, the same unit that Mr. Tommy Chenault, who dedicated this program to today. Thank them for being here as well. Thank you. As we spotlight the wall and we remember those here today, we also take time to remember those 58,307 names, 5 from Gonzales on that wall. If you would, please stand and join me for a moment of silence in honor of those veterans. Please remain standing as we retire the colors.
Forward, march.
You may be seated. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you would, please welcome for your entertainment this evening, Fort Sam Houston 323rd Army Band.
evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, thanks for having us. On behalf of Lieutenant General Perry L. Wiggins, the commander of United States Army North and Fort Sam Houston, we are the 323rd Army Band. I'm Chief Warrant Officer Tom Hager. I would also like to introduce to you for our next number, our First Sergeant Eric Basora, and he is going to sing for you Toby Keith's American Soldier.
I'm just trying to be a father, raise a daughter and a son, be a lover to their mother, everything to everyone. Up and at 'em bright and early, I'm all business in my suit. Yeah, I'm dressed up for success, from my head down to my boots. I don't do it for the money, there's bills that I can't pay. I don't do it for the glory, I just do it anyway. Providing for our future, my responsibility. Yeah, I'm real good under pressure, being all that I can be. I can't call in sick on Mondays when the weekend's been too strong. I just work straight through the holidays, sometimes all night long. You can bet that I'll stand ready when the wolf growls at the door. Hey, I'm solid and I'm steady and I'm true down to the core. And I will always do my duty no matter what the price. I've counted up the cost, oh, I know the sacrifice. Oh, and I don't want to die for you, but if dying's after me, I'll bear that cross with honor, 'cause freedom don't come free. I'm an American soldier, I'm American. Beside my brothers and my sisters, I will fight.
Well, thanks again. Appreciate all the applause. It's wonderful. So we're going to bring back the first sergeant, and this time he's going to sing God Bless the USA.
If tomorrow all the things were gone I worked for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife, I thank my lucky stars to be living here this day, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom and they can't take that away. 'Cause I'm proud to be an American, at least I know I'm free. 'Cause I won't forget the ones who died who gave that right to me. And I'll gladly stand up next to you, and if it hurts till the day, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota through the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, Detroit down to Houston, and New York through LA, well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, when at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the ones who died who gave that right to me. And I'm gladly stand up next to you, and if it hurts till the day, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, when at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the ones who died who gave that right to me. And I'll gladly stand up next to you, and if it hurts till the day,
how to make a talk again.
Hey, that's not fair. He has one of those curators. Sorry. First of all, if I do this piece, I just want to say thank you to all our veterans out there. I really mean it. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. I tell you what, I wouldn't be standing here if it weren't for you veterans. So thank you once again. I salute you. We haven't talked much because I guess we don't want to make your ears bleed. I know you want to hear music, and I'm all for it too. But it's a pleasure for us. It's a great Friday, beautiful weather, and we appreciate coming out here for our veterans. We really do. And this next piece, just a little history behind klaxon. Does anybody know what a klaxon is? Well, it's a horn. So Henry Fillmore, way back when, wrote a piece that was for a Cincinnati automobile show. So he also designed an instrument called the klaxophone. It never, I guess, made it out of its first debut. But anyhow, the new horns that they were going into production, any of you guys that are into autos, they were getting away from the traditional, this is how I read it, Aruga, those horns. Does that sound pretty much like those older horns? So this was in the 1930s when this piece came out. And I like the piece, not because it's about horns, but it just has a lot of good woodwinds and brass, and I think you'll enjoy it. So if this doesn't get you to go out there and buy a car or a horn, but here it is, ladies and gentlemen, klaxon.
I want to slow it down for just a minute. You know, I've been in military music for 30 years, and nothing gets me going like a good military march. 2? Maybe? All right. Well, the next one's not a march. Sorry. This is a piece called Mansions of the Lord. It's about a minute and a half, 2 minutes long. It's a very pretty piece. If any of you saw the movie We Were Soldiers, it's the end credits. And it's there's words to it. I'm not going to read you the words. But this is for all the names on the wall across the street. So we're going to enter a concert now. This is my favorite way to end a concert. We have a medley of all of the service songs. So we're going to play everyone's service song, and if you hear your song, please stand if you're able. If you have a friend, loved one, classmate that was in a particular service, and please stand when you hear that individual service song. And once again, thank you all for having us tonight. It's been our pleasure to be here. It's a wonderful little town. You guys even sent the police out to get us. That was quick. Is that you? Sorry you had to chase us. So we're driving down the road and I see this police car go zooming by the other way. And I'm looking at my rearview mirror and I'm thinking, well, I wasn't speeding. And he spins around in the road and his lights are going. So thank you very much for coming to get us. I appreciate it. Hey, this is Armed Forces on Parade.
On behalf of the mayor and city council and the citizens of Gonzales, I want to present the 323rd Army Band as they come and take a flag for Twin City County. There are a lot of folks that put this together tonight. Of course, the mayor and council, none of this would be happening if it weren't for them. Thomas Shurick, our council in District 2, came up with this idea. And when we presented it in budget, they didn't ask, well, what are we going to do with the money? They didn't ask, what are we going to do that night? They asked, how much? And when I told them, they said, are you sure that's enough?
Amen.
And I tell you, I got the greatest council in the world. My administrative assistant, Angie Kessler, she is the glue that put this all together. Angie's in the back. Everybody knows my special projects manager, Ralph Camarillo. He is the strong laborer that put all this together. And this is probably breaking some kind of military protocol. But Sergeant Hines, without you, we couldn't put this thing together. You did a great job.